Hey, you lovely people. It's that time again. I'm going to be taking you through my 2020 earnings on print on demand. Let's go. So how was 2020 for me? Well, it was crappy. Oh, you meant print on demand. Okay. It was okay. Now, I want to put this out there that number one, I don't promote my work. These are all organic sales. The only promotion I did, if you just watched my previous video, was in the run-up to Christmas. I thought, let me try and get more eyes on my best-selling work by making Pinterest pins and promoting my work through Pinterest. And that's what I did. I don't know, I haven't done all the figures yet to see how many sales those translated into, but for the most part, most of the year it was all organic. I did not put a lot of time into print on demand last year. I will admit that I was very demotivated in everything I did last year. It was a very, very difficult time. And as you guys know, I'm still a relatively new freelance designer and I'm still trying to get my reputation out there, get my skills out there, promote myself. And that was hard when COVID struck. And even though I was still getting work, there felt like there was a lot more hills to run up in order to cement those contracts. I digress. I'm just saying that print on demand was not high on the list of priorities last year. So I guess what I want to show you is that if you have an established store, whether it be small or large, and you don't have time for print on demand, just a little bit of maintenance can still make you sales. I mean, it did for me. We're going to go through the numbers and I'll show you the amount of designs that I have now compared to what I had last year. And you can see that sometimes I didn't add very many new designs at all. So I'm very chuffed with my numbers considering I put very little effort into print on demand last year. So saying all of that, we're going to keep things really, really simple. We're going to have the same format as last year. And if you haven't seen 2019's income report for print on demand, I'll put it up here if I remember. We'll have the same format, except we're only going to be looking at 3 marketplaces, my 3 biggest marketplaces, and that is Amazon, Teepublic, Redbubble. The other 3 that I work with made very, very few sales, so we'll just put those all into one amount at the end of the video. And as I take you through my figures for each of those marketplaces, we'll take a look at why sales were very good or very bad in those marketplaces. We'll look at the numbers at the end. And hopefully, if not for anything else, this will give you a little bit of motivation and drive to just keep going, keep working on those stores, get them established, get your name out there, and making regular sales. Right here, let's go. So first things first, let's take a look at my numbers for Teepublic. Now, I think the market and the audience has changed in the last year with Teepublic. As you can see, I have 92 designs live, which is only 19 more than last year. I've never ever had a proper process or method for Teepublic. In the past, it's always been design for Redbubble, duplicate up to Teepublic. So if we take a look at the graph, we've got the black segments, which were the sales that I made in 2020, and the stripy segments are the sales that I made in 2019. And you can see straight away that the last 4 months of the year, I did significantly better in 2019 than I did in 2020. So when I talk about the fact that I think the audience and the market has changed in Teepublic, it means that the art that I upload to Redbubble is no longer serving the types of people who shop on Teepublic. Now, I found that every time I was going on Teepublic and looking at the bestsellers, it was a lot of meme humor, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of tongue-in-cheek political stuff. That kind of stuff sold really, really well on Teepublic last year. And the kind of designs I make weren't really for that audience. And as a result, my sales reflected that. And this is what I mean by you have to make sure that if you want to make those regular sales and you're seeing your sales go down, you want to make sure that you understand why. when things that used to sell well suddenly aren't anymore, maybe that trend is over. But if you're relying on organic sales like I do, that can mean that you're at the whims of the audience and the algorithm. So that is a big reason why my sales suffered on Teepublic last year. So what I really need to do looking forward is try and make designs specifically for the Teepublic audience, or promote my existing designs a little bit better for Teepublic. So next, let's take a look at Amazon merch. So again, if we take a look at our graph, the solid green segments are the sales I made in 2020, and the stripy segments are the sales I made in 2019. I have 96 out of 500 available designs, which is only 14 more than 2019. Now, I completely ignored Amazon last year. Those 14 new designs that I added in November so I could try and get a few more Christmas sales. I just completely hands-off left Amazon merch last year. And what I found happened was a lot of the designs that I'd put on when I originally started selling really, really well, especially in the UK. So I'm quite chuffed with the fact that I still managed to make all of these sales on Amazon being completely hands-off. I used to have merch informer. I would do all the research. I'd be very meticulous. I designed specifically for the Amazon audience, and it took up a lot of my time last year, 2019, and I just did not have the time in 2020 to keep that up. Hence why I just thought, I'm just going to leave Amazon ticking over. So it was a pretty good year on Amazon considering I did zero work. And those 14 designs that I added at the end of the year was just stuff I'd already designed for Redbubble anyway. So it was nothing new at all. Gosh, by now you're probably thinking, Martine, you were useless last year. What work did you actually do on print on demand? And I'm saying I did do work. I really did. I did as much as I was possibly able to do. I wish I could have had the time to do more, because I think it would have been a much better year for me and it would have helped out in other ways as well. But I didn't. And it's nice that I still managed to make these sales. I'm really, really chuffed. And last but not least, my favorite, as you guys know, is the Redbubble marketplace. Now, I know a lot of people have a lot to say about Redbubble at the moment. There's been a lot of uncertainty. There's been a lot of those weird mass banning of accounts that have happened on Redbubble. In my opinion, I think Redbubble have done something on the back end to change something, and it acted in a way that was unpredictable, ended up deleting accounts, and it's a shame that Redbubble didn't contact people to let them know what was happening. A little bit of more communication would have, eased a lot of people's fears. So I know there's a lot of smack talk about Redbubble at the moment. So let's just wait it out. Let's see if there's any more communication from Redbubble. I still love the platform. I think this last year there's been a lot more spamming and copyright infringements than I've ever seen before, and I truly hope Redbubble do more to get rid of those people, because it brings the platform and the credibility down so much for the rest of us. So let's see. I still have faith in Redbubble as a company, so I'm staying. So as you can see, Redbubble was by far my best earner for 2020. We started off okay. January's sales were still good, because obviously a lot of Christmas sales you get your payments in January for, so that was just a good Christmas for the year before. And then things went really quiet. February, March and April, COVID hit, people weren't certain, people stopped buying as much stuff online. There was a lot of just uncertainty. And then obviously we can see June, July really took off when Redbubble introduced masks. And I was just lucky. 3 of my designs, my existing designs, started selling really well on masks, and that explains the crazy amount of sales I got from July through to the end of the year. And guys, that money helped with quiet client work, irregular client work. That money coming in every month was paying the bills a lot of the time. So I'm really grateful that I managed to get some traction with some of my designs at the back end of last year. that was luck. I made a very simple design and it went crazy. It's still making really, really good sales. I'm constantly having to shut other people down from copying my stuff, but that's been my bread and butter for the main part. That very simple design that took me no more than half an hour to put together. That's what those sales are. But another thing I noticed about Redbubble is stuff that I uploaded almost a year ago suddenly started getting sales. Those things suddenly had a new relevance last year. And it was just awesome to see work that I'd done a while ago that I really, really liked and I thought were cool in their own respective ways started to get sales, and people started to see the humor and the weirdness and the stuff that I was making. And I was really grateful for that. And if we look at the amount of new designs I only added 37 all year. So I'd say there's a good amount of luck sprinkled on Redbubble for last year. And if you don't take anything else away from this video, take this. Evergreen designs are where it's at. Following trends is cool, but if you're like me and there's long periods of time where you can't do anything on your print on demand stores, those evergreen designs are going to be your bread and butter. They're going to continue to bring in those regular sales. You don't have to be constantly searching for trends, and it means you can step away if you need to. Most of you probably have full-time jobs. If you get a busy few months, you can still get those sales coming through, even if you don't touch your stores for a while. Once you have a store where you have regular sales on at least, say, 10 to 20 of your designs, it just takes a little maintenance to keep it going. Obviously, things will, even if they're evergreen, they're going to fall in and out of fashion, but you know all that already. I'm just showing you that for the little amount that I put into my print on demand stores last year, you can still make regular money. It's not huge amounts of money. I wish I could have scaled up my shops a lot more last year, but I couldn't. And still, I think it was a really, really good year for my stores. Finally, let's take a look at the final figures for the year. So Teepublic, we made £590.96 or $816.90. And below that are my figures for 2019. So the first thing you're probably going to say is, what is up with that dollar amount? I earned fewer pounds in 2020 than 2019, but the dollar amount is greater in 2020 than 2019. Guys, that's purely the exchange rate. I think the pound's performing more strongly against the US dollar now than it was in 2019, and that's why the dollar amount is more. For Amazon merch, we made £982.62 or $1,358.30. And again, the figures for 2019 are below. Redbubble, obviously you knew this already, was our best marketplace for 2020. And we made £3,357.43 or $4,641.06. And the figures for 2019 right below. So the grand total for Amazon, Teepublic and Redbubble for 2020 is £4,931 1 penny or $6,816.26, with the amounts for 2019 again below. But as I said right in the beginning, I have an Etsy store, Spreadshirt store, and a Design by Humans store. But those amounts were very, very small for the year, around £280. So if we add that onto our total, we're left with a grand total for the year of £5,182.78 or $7,164.29. So we're pretty much up by 2,000 for 2020. Which, like I said, with adding so few designs and doing so little research, and with the platforms, some of the platforms changing, I think that was a big win considering. So these numbers are a big thank you to the bread and butter of my stores, my existing bestsellers on all of my stores, as well as a few key new designs that just happen to do very well. So I guess I'm proof that very little maintenance on an established store can still get you sales. Who would have thunk it? That's about everything I have for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you guys had a good 2020, and I hope your 2021 is even better. And if you haven't entered my wall art competition, why the hell not? There's still time. You guys have got, say, 2 weeks. I would love to see your submissions, so please make sure that you enter. Details for that is in the video linked in the description. Right, guys, that's all I have time for, and I'll see you guys very soon.